welcome Fakhruddin for performance stand-up comedy.
Looking at all this setup, get-up, you might think I'm a regular on the stand-up circuit. And but let me tell you, this is the very first time I'm attempting anything of this sort. So even if you feel there's a hint of a punchline, please laugh. So now you might be right; it might be a joke. Okay? Now, another disclaimer is that I'm not the appraiser or reviewer of anybody in this room. So any laughter that you hear is actually genuine, not forced laughter. And you can see I'm not a regular because I've got all my material written down. I'll refer to it as time goes by. Now, I'm going to perform the show in English because only 99% of you understand Hindi, so. Okay, and but there might be some punchline which I may need to use Hindi word, because if I ask you, did you attend my marriage, it will not have the same essence as Bharat mein hai. So, okay, now, so my name is Fakhruddin Bandukwala, difficult to pronounce, especially in Kiwi ones. So I've been called various names. I've not been called names, I've been called by various names, like Fakhruddin or FJ, FJB. Bandukwala is more easily pronounced than Fakhruddin, so some people call me that. Now, even in, like, it's not just a Kiwi thing, right? Even back in India, back in Pune, I was on this phone call and I'm like, okay, I'm Fakhruddin, and the response from there is Kaun Pathordan. So that's the kind of linguistics that you get into. Now, I was at the session last week, and we had at this session they had this icebreaker, and for the icebreaker they had us do dumb charades of our names. So there was a person called Kiran, so he's doing like a key and run, so that's key run. And there was another girl called Rebecca, so she goes rib, egg, ah, so that's Rebecca. And then they're looking at me, okay, Fakhruddin, act out your name. So I went down and like, my name is Bandukwala, and it goes band, duck, voila! Because again, remember, 99% of you only understand Hindi, but that crowd was non-Hindi, so I had to go, Banduk, I can't do Bandukwala. Okay, now, next, okay. Now that we have all settled here in New Zealand, you are all familiar with the Kiwi way of greeting? Right? It's not the most common way of Kiwi greeting. The actual most common Kiwi greeting is a raised eyebrow and a chin flick. We go like that. Right? It's a kind of a gentle face yoga that you have to do, and you can do it to, like, in the office, in the supermarket, anybody who you don't know. That's the normal Kiwi way of greeting. Okay, now once you've settled here for some time, you have to go for this IELTS or PT exam if you want to stay long. And but which is kind of a bit funny, because it's like at the time of Queen Victoria, you sent across these tuition teachers who stayed around for 200 years teaching us English. And very often I get asked, like, how come your English is so good? I come from an English-speaking country. So now, I mentioned this, you go for any of these spelling bees. Who wins the spelling bee? It's either an Indian or a Chinese, and they want us to prove our English. Now, I mentioned this to the lady at the IELTS center, and she's like, hey, look, there's a difference between knowing the spelling of things and knowing the meaning of stuff. Okay, so I took on the challenge. I said, okay, tell me what's the meaning of indictus. And she's completely like, what kind of a word is that? And is it something vulgar that you just made up, or what exactly is this? And so she used a spelling bee trick. Use it in a sentence. So I said, okay, if we are guilty, the judge will indict us. And she was like, that's not the pronunciation, it's indictus. And I was caught. So then I just had to switch and said, that's how it sounds in my accent. Okay, and now once you settle here, this IELTS, it's of no use in understanding the Kiwi slang. That's a completely different language now. Yeah, now? So what's that? Like, Yes, I'm raising your hopes. No, I'm crashing them down. What exactly is Yana? Or even as sweet ass. So what is sweet ass? Like, I was buying this hiking equipment one day, and I go up and she rings up my bill and takes my payment, and she's like, sweet ass. And I'm like, did I buy some hiking equipment or some gulab jamun? And the other one is bring a plate. Oh. So in India, if somebody tells you to bring a plate, the relative tells you to bring plates because there are 20 cousins coming over, there are not enough plates to go around, so you bring those plates. So I went to my Kiwi friend and I took 4 plates and 4 bowls, and they expected me to bring food also. So it's like, bring your own dal, bring your own rice, and come and sit at my table and have your food. And speaking of food, like, you have gone to the supermarket here, and in India, when you go vegetable shopping, what do you get for free, right? What do you get for free?
Dhania,
Coriander and chilies. And here you go to the supermarket. I went to the supermarket, like, there's one single chili, which is individually wrapped and packed and decorated, and sitting like a bridegroom on the shelf. And look at the price, like, is $1 for one chili? The Bharat mein aaya hai kya? You come for my wedding. Okay, and then you get used to some of the street names around here in Auckland. There's some very funny street names, especially around Ponsonby. I won't mention them in mixed company, but there's a PG joke about street names. So, if James Bond was living in Auckland, which street would he be living?
James Bond Street.
Bond Street. Spy Heaven. He's not going to put his name tag on the street, right? So, James Bond would actually live on a street called Tenterden Avenue. Heard of it? It's near Mount Eden. It's called Tenterden Avenue. Why Tenterden? Because at the start of every James Bond movie, Tenterden. Okay, so James Bond is solving a case. And he reaches his house in Tenterden Avenue, and there are 3 ants lying dead on his doorstep. This gives him clue. Now, what do you think James Bond said after looking at that scene? He says, "Ta-dan, ta-dan, ta-dan, ta-dan." Okay. Now, next, what to do? After some time in New Zealand, of course, you have to buy a house. Big mistake at our salaries, but still. I bought a house, and what I discovered was my neighbor was a stalker. She was stalking me, and I was, how I found out? I was looking through the binoculars one day and saw her googling my name. You'll get this on the way back home. Okay, thank you. That's my time.